יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
ועלמא דברי חירותי והמליך מלכותי בחיי חונו ומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך.
So I'm sort of saying all these words, and I want to make sure it makes sense, right? That the phenomenon of withdrawing, into one's home space, it actually seems to me to be an interesting match for spiritual seeking and spiritual quest.
And I think spirituality and God and prayer and community is more important when everybody's isolated and vulnerable. I mean, we all know lots of people who've gotten COVID, and we know people who've died. So I think we all need to, circle around each other more.
Good morning, everybody. Boker Tov.
Boker Or, y'all.
We're gonna wake up Texas style now. Y'all ready to sing with me? Well, even if you're not, I'm gonna sing it right now. So here we go. Mode ani, lefanecha, melecha, v'kayam, shechezarta bi nishmati, bechemla rabba emunatecha. Chazan Harold Messinger. I am the Chazan. I am the prayer leader. That's my main role. Prayer leader, music guy, organizer, and teacher. Before COVID, we had a pattern of services that looked like this. On Sunday mornings, there was a lay-led minyan, a group of 10 or more adults in the Jewish tradition. But that was led by the congregants. I didn't participate in that. I would lead a service on Wednesday morning with about 8 to 12 people coming on any given morning. And I'd lead services Friday night and Shabbat morning in the sanctuary. Friday night we would get probably 50 or so people every Friday night, and on Shabbat morning, without a bar mitzvah, you could expect, about 30 people. And in addition to that, on Shabbat morning, you'd have our school, you'd have our Beit Midrash, and we have classrooms that line the lower and upper part of our sanctuary. And normally the walls are closed to each classroom, so it doesn't interfere with the service. And you'd have, usually about 50 or 60 kids on a given Shabbat morning participating in learning.
My role at the synagogue before COVID-19 was very varied. I lead worship services, teach bar and bat mitzvah, but also weddings and births and funerals. I spend time visiting folks in the hospital and going to the cemetery with families. Every single one of those things we now do virtually.
One thing that's definitely happened is more people are attending services more often. And I think that's going to continue after Zoom because it's working for people. People don't have to get up and go to services. They can do it from when they're in their homes or when they're doing other things. Some people turn it on and use it sort of as background, and some people are highly engaged.
You know, we had a bar mitzvah this past Shabbat, just as an example. The way it happens now is in the room in the sanctuary were his immediate family, one set of grandparents, a couple of friends, 3 or 4 cardboard cutouts of some of his own special guests. You know, some TV characters, and a Beret Man was there. A couple hundred people on the Zoom.
So this is hooked up to a computer, feeds the Zoom into the sanctuary. I have the image on my computer, so I don't really need it if it's just me, but it's great for the family during the bar mitzvah.
And, you know, including part of his family from Israel, who wouldn't otherwise be able to participate at all. And in this young man's case, something pulled off by his parents, which was just the coolest. The prayer for the country was delivered by Andrew Yang, who made a recording and then offered a personal greeting, and so we were able to play that as the prayer for our country. Most amazing bar mitzvah. It's a whole different experience. And we would never be thinking about any of those things were it not for COVID. And, and now when the pandemic subsides, we're going to be still doing this, I think, in much the way that we've actually been doing it during COVID time, because it's actually better. Right? I mean, it's really like better experience. There will be many more people in the sanctuary. There's great value in that, and the whole community gathering under one roof and in one room. But I'm also quite certain that we're going to be streaming and Zooming our service more than for the foreseeable future, so that we can include the relatives in Israel and the relatives in California and the relatives in wherever, and other pieces of the puzzle that we had never done before. It's not just that we took what we were doing and brought it online. It's actually now it's really now a different experience.
The rabbi and I felt like we had a sense of what this community would want, and what it would want is to be together, even if that meant not being physically together.
There's actually ongoing conversation and debate among conservative rabbis about what the law really is and really should be. I am among a good number of conservative rabbis who conclude that a minyan online is a real minyan. And there are conservative rabbis who have a different conclusion, that, that only under duress and only for the, greatest personal need is it permitted. We made a decision that we were gonna do our whole service as if. And I've since come to feel that presence via Zoom is real presence.
I'll give my sister as an example. She's not a particularly religious Jew. She comes to services where she wants to. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur she sees as an obligation, but she's never really enjoyed them. But this year she really got a lot more out of them. So I think she felt that it was much more of a spiritual experience for her. And we got wonderful feedback on our surveys. Many people said that it was amazing, that it was more spiritual, that we did a fabulous job of connecting people during high holidays.
We've been practicing physical distancing for over a year now, or almost a year. Spending a lot of time home alone. Right now, many of us, live in houses where there are other people around, so it's not complete isolation. But that the desire is for spiritual connection actually makes sense to me, precisely because it's abstract. Right, precisely because it's not dependent on physical proximity. I can meditate my way into it. I can pray my way into it. Getting in touch with the spirit is something you can do at home, right? So okay, I'm gonna do that at home.
Bodani לפניך מלך חי וקיים שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך